RotoGrinders, I'm Dean78904, joined today by Stevie PFL. Stevie, it's 3 days left, man. Let's do it. We're grinding. Anybody out there in the chat that's watching us these days, do appreciate y'all hanging out with us. The last of 3 official days of baseball all the way up to Wednesday. Wednesday's schedule, by the way, unless it hasn't changed, it's like 15 games all starting the exact same time, or it's like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock on the East Coast. It's just it's a sprint slate with everybody playing at the same time and nothing to play for. I'm pretty sure. Well, we might have something. It's a slight chance we'll have something to play for, but most likely Milwaukee probably will be out at that point. Philadelphia, you got to figure would win a game. Maybe Philadelphia loses a game. Wait, I'm mixing that up for some reason, Stevie. Philly's got they have a 2-game lead on Milwaukee, I believe, for that last wild card spot. Is that correct? I think so.
Philly wins once and they're in.
Yeah, and that, of course, is relevant to the slate today because we do have some meaningful games going down. Don't tell the Brewers they're knocked out just yet. Milwaukee battling for their lives. They got to win out, obviously. Philadelphia looking to clinch as well. This is the start of 2+ hours. MLB DFS conversation, taking y'all straight up the lock and beyond. I saw chief meteorologist Kevin Roth is going he's going to the Astros game today. I presume he's still going to be on crunch time. I don't know how close he is to the stadium and what. He's in the graphic, so I assume Roth is going to be on the show. And we need Roth today. You know why, Stevie? We always need Roth, but we especially need him today.
Well, I mean, you said my name wrong, so you have me all flustered. We've been working together for like 6 or 7 years now, and you still don't know how to You're almost as bad as Dan. So,
because your name is ridiculous. Stevie TPFL's at Tampa, Florida. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy. It's ridiculous. You're right.
But nobody would know that stands for Tampa, Florida, outside of like me and you.
Well, get on it, Dean. Yeah, I mean, there's bad weather in that Baltimore game. It doesn't look good at all from what Roth was saying. And honestly, that game doesn't really matter to me. Like, maybe some bats in that game, but not a game that's super concerning. But I mean, the Washington at New York Mets game is super interesting, depending on the weather, because we like the Mets bats in this spot. They're playing for something. I mean, if the Braves win tonight and the Mets play a doubleheader tomorrow, we might see really bad Mets lineups because they wouldn't be playing for anything anymore. So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting slate. This whole week is interesting. It's my least favorite week for DFS. It's definitely a one lineup type of night for me. But I do think if there wasn't football, I would probably be playing more.
Yeah, week 4 in the books, week 5 on layaway. If you have any thoughts or any conversation, as a Dolphins fan,
yeah. I mean, I was gonna say not like the football game tonight is any good or anything.
Is it the Rams and the 49ers? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that a bad game?
Football?
I mean, the Rams are interesting. The 49ers are kind of, I don't find them very interesting.
I think it depends on some injuries for the 49ers. They could be without like 4 really key pieces of that defense, and the Rams could run all over them tonight. We'll see.
I've not done any content for that game, so I don't even know who's – so potentially we have injuries on the San Francisco side?
Yeah, I mean, 2 guys are already ruled out. And then there's 2 defensive tackles. One's like a huge pass rusher and one's like really good against the run that are questionable for tonight that have been banged up for like the last week.
What's the line here? It opened San Fran -1.5, and currently they're San Fran -2, which seems to be speaking against what you're saying. Well, the money line, okay, I pulled up scores and odds. Money line is -126 on San Fran -2. So if you want the Rams, you get +107.
Yeah, okay. About 3 points for being at home, on Vegas book side. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be betting the Rams money line if I was in a state where it was legal. I could bet. So,
yeah, we're both stuck in Florida, and unfortunately, there's no. We had it for like 2 weeks, and we had a monopoly with the Hard Rock app, and the only one book, and that's that. And then something happening in the court system, and then it went away.
Did you get through the storm okay, Dino?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I got super lucky down here in South Florida. 30-mile-per-hour winds, a lot of rain, but, big context, like big picture. Very, very lucky. How about yourself? I meant to ask, actually.
The flooding around here is awful. Volusia County is like the second worst in the state for flooding outside of Fort Myers area. So we're dealing with a lot of flooding. We had 40 to 60 mile an hour winds and like nonstop rain for almost 24 hours. I think it was something like 13 to 16 inches of rain or something. It was crazy. Luckily, I'm very fortunate. I was fine.
Yeah.
No loss of power or internet or anything. So I was very we were the only one in our family that didn't have power go out. So my dad got power back yesterday, and my mother-in-law got power back today. So everyone's back with power. But it's my brother-in-law is a lineman, and it's not good.
Lineman, like not like an NFL lineman, but lineman like somebody who works with like electricity power lines. Yeah. Derek in chat says his yard gut was wrecked in the storm all the way up there in Charlotte. Yeah, I know Ian was working its way up the coast. Obviously, the more it's on the mainland, the more it slows down and simmers down. But it was wreck and chop to some degree all the way up the coast, and hopefully everybody out there stayed safe. Hey, Talladega, how did that go? Because Derek's saying it sucked until the last lap. Did we get something good happen in the last lap? I don't know what happened.
It's just a very, it was an aggressive race, but there wasn't a ton of wrecks, which people love wrecks. I thought the racing was good. Like if I had to rate like that race, I thought it was good. The strategy that we run out for DFS, is definitely where you need some wrecks. But like even for that, like I ran out the strategy and I think I lost like $100. So I almost broke even playing a lot of drivers starting towards the back because the strategy still worked, even though there wasn't a ton of wrecks. So, I thought it was a good, entertaining race that just, it didn't have the big one as far as like wrecks. And people love wrecks, but I think the racing was okay. 2-wide racing, almost all race, a lot of aggressive bumping and stuff. So it was fun to watch.
It looks like Roth updated the weather, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and drop this link in chat. If you guys are hanging out, kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications so you know when we're going live. We're going to be talking. You're hanging out for baseball. Obviously, all the football shows on layaway. Basketball shows right around the corner. I want to say it's 2 weeks from tomorrow is the opening night of the NBA. It's a doubleheader. Like, they kind of roll out that doubleheader on TNT on Tuesday and on Thursday. I already kind of took a peek, and how it's an uneven schedule the first week, and Wednesday and Thursday are like Wednesday and Friday are monster slates. Like Wednesday's like a 12 gamer and Friday's like an 11 gamer or something like that. It's not the best for content, and it's not the best for DFS in my opinion, right? We all a lot of us like those 7 games. That's kind of the sweet spot for the NBA, right?
I think 8 is the sweet spot for NBA. 6 to 8 is my favorite slates.
Yeah, 7, 6, 8, that'll work.
Yeah, you were right on it. I'm just saying, like me personally, 6 to 8 is like. I was just making the morning grind schedule for basketball, and it's very interesting the first week. So,
Brian's asking if there's NHL content. Yeah, I assume there's. I don't partake in the NHL content. I've actually dug into the NHL this off season, and like I'm in several best ball NHL leagues. My friends kind of dragged me in there. They know I'm kind of dead money in that. I'm excited for the hockey season. Florida Panthers. I'm right around the corner from the Panthers arena. Get excited about that. But and that's all under the umbrella of premium content. If you guys get the RG Premium, you get the hockey content as well. Orange is the color here for the Mets. That is the update, and it's orange red in Baltimore. Orange red would be worse, more vulnerable, I suppose, to a postpone. We're gonna have to see what Roth has to say, and of course, we're several hours before first pitch. But it looks dicey in both the Mets game and the Baltimore game. We're going to keep our eye on it. Best we can do. You have any general thoughts right now as far as those 2 games?
I think I'm going to avoid the Toronto-Baltimore game. I didn't really necessarily love anything in that game anyway, besides some bats. I'll be watching and listening to what Roth has to say as far as the Mets game goes, because if it's just like a risk for like pitching, yeah, gosh, like looking at like the forecast, like cold with winds blowing in from center field, like maybe I just avoid this game for bats too and just cross these 2 games off and don't mess with the weather here with 3 days to go in the baseball season.
So you mentioned that, and I was looking at the Weather Edge, Kevin Roth Weather Edge. Another thing you get with RG Premium Talking about how previous games have played out as far as runs based upon what the weather happens to be. And I did see a couple things jumping. Yeah, so Boston, it's 50 degrees. The wind is blowing in 11 miles per hour straight from center field. 59 similar games, 38% hit and home runs. It's decreased home runs at 38%. Runs have decreased at 6%. It's not the biggest sample in the world, 59 games, but like that does make sense. That does check out. It's cold and the wind's blowing in. So run suppression makes sense. We only have one game in the history of Met Stadium that's been like the way it is currently as far as the weather. This stuff does change, but yeah, 51 degrees as far as the Mets ballpark and 17 miles per hour as far as the wind blowing in. Polar Bear, Pete Alonso, he can smash baseballs, obviously, and theoretically he can smash it no matter what the weather is. But there is going to be a prevention as far as, again, one game sample. Don't really react to that, but just your brain tells you that cannot be ideal weather for hitting baseballs. I think those are the two big ones, right?
Yeah, I just think I'm going to avoid those 2 games.
Yeah, and then
we have 9 other games. We have plenty of hitting in other games and spots like that. I mean, what's the point of like risking it? I mean, the Mets bats, if the weather was good, I think we would be talking about them in this spot more. But there's so many options that I don't think you even have to talk about them today.
You want to give me the screenshot, the overview as far as this slate? I think we kind of sort of touched that to some degree. Milwaukee is desperate for winning, and they probably have the best pitcher on the slate, biggest, at least the biggest K rate. 4 games in a row, we've seen double-digit strikeouts there. For Brandon Woodruff, it's basically a straight average matchup there against Arizona. But he's going to get pushed as hard as anybody tonight, if not harder than anybody else. They are desperate for wins. Philadelphia, the other team with one of the really good pitchers, Aaron Nola, they are motivated to knock this out and clinch that wild card spot as well. So I imagine he'll be a full go. Of course, not a great matchup against Houston. Houston has clinched, but they are rolling out their best lineup. Altuve, Pena, Yordan Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker, Gurriel, Mancini, Myers, and Maldonado. I guess there's no that is like their best lineup, right? I'm kind of eyeballing and see if there's anybody that's missing. That's basically.
I mean, they're going to have almost a week off in between Wednesday and when they play because they have the bye now. So
yeah.
I think we're going to see a pretty normal lineup. We might see like some pinch hit risk on the Houston and the Yankees and stuff like that. But I mean, these teams that are going like the Dodgers, they're going to have a week off. So I think you're going to want these guys to get some at bats here these next couple days.
Yeah, no Dodger lineup just yet. They are the clear and obvious like best offense, but you're right. And we've seen it before, like when they're ahead like 7-1 or 9-1 in the 5th inning, like they're going to take out Freeman and Betts and Turner or one of those guys or 2 of those guys. That's just going to happen. Betts didn't play yesterday, so I assume he starts. Maybe they don't roll out their best starting lineup. Maybe one guy's out. I feel like, you tell me. I mean, I feel like guys like Trace Thompson and Gavin Lux, like those guys are safe. If they're in the lineup, they're not going to move. Is that like Justin Turner is going to come out? Those kind of guys. Does that make sense?
Yep. I'm with you 100%. Like, I think your pinch hit risk or your Trey Turners, your Mookie Betts, your Freddie Freemans. I mean, guys like Bellinger, Gallo, Lux, they're going to play. There's no reason to get those guys out of the game. But with this new like bias system in getting through the wild card and like having 5 or 6 days off, I think we're going to see some really good lineups for these top teams. And overview of the slate in general here, Dean, like you were asking, like I named the morning grind today how many pitches because that is the biggest. I think that's the biggest question mark. I was looking through the bat earlier, and the bat is kind of projecting these guys to see normal workloads. All of that aside, we know what we're getting from Brandon Woodruff today, right? We're getting a full workload, must-win game. Aaron Nola, full workload, must-win game. We're not going to see a full workload from Lance McCullers, Tony Gonsolin, Severino, like maybe even like a Joe Musgrove. Maybe he doesn't even get like a full workload here. So I think all those guys are, there's so many question marks. You're going to have some of these young guys go out and, like a Patrick Sandoval. They've been out of it for months, weeks. I don't know if I'd say months, but it felt like months for the Angels. But he's going to get normal workload today. what is George Kirby going to see? Is he going to go out and get a normal workload? They play Friday. So he's probably SP2 for them in the playoffs. So I think Kirby is likely to see 80 type pitches here. So I mean, it's an interesting slate overview wise, but I'm with you. The Dodgers are the clear cut top stack today.
Let me ask you a question. That game on Friday, is it? And this is probably something I should know, but not really. It doesn't matter. Nothing to do with my job. But and I'm no fandom. I don't have a team. Is it win one game and that's that? Is it just a 1 game wild card?
No,
or is it
I think it's a series now.
Okay. That's what I thought.
It's a 3-game series now.
Okay. So that's why you're talking about the Dodgers and Houston resting for a week or so. That makes sense.
So it's the wild card games, the wild card series or whatever, they're 3-game series now, best of 3. So the Yankees and the Astros, they won't play, I think it's Tuesday. So Wednesday to Tuesday. So the Yankees, the Astros, the Dodgers, and then whoever out of the Mets and the Braves, they don't play again until Tuesday. So you're going to see pretty normal lineups from them. But I mean, so you play Friday, Saturday, and if you need game 3, it's Sunday. So because I was looking at this earlier with George Kirby, I'm like, you would think Robbie Ray is their number 1.
Yeah.
Castillo probably 2.
Yes.
And then Kirby 3 or Gilbert 3. So I think that they need Gilbert or Kirby to be ready, right? On Sunday,
whoever he might come in in the middle of a game, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think he'll get 80, 85 pitches tonight. And that's kind of where he's been at, and that's he's facing Detroit. So I think if anybody like Castillo or Gilbert gets in trouble, we'll see Kirby come in and try to pitch. They have flex in that they can use in that kind of role too, but I think they'd prefer Kirby if they need 3 or 4 innings out of the bullpen.
Yeah, the thing with Kirby is he's a little bit cheaper than some of the other pitchers, and he can just get the job done in 80 pitches because he's facing Detroit, right? He threw 88 pitches last time out, 6 innings, 5 hits, clean get. He did give him an earned run, but super solid pitcher. Oakland got to him, which was kind of just a random sort of outlier before the start against Texas, but otherwise he's been pretty solid. And we know matchup against Detroit just is the nuts. Maybe he goes 5 or 6 innings and he should be fine. He's probably not going to hurt you. I'm a little apprehensive on it because I just want I don't want to say safety because I hate using the word safety when, baseball and volatility and the variance and all that. But the safety of Woodruff just feels so good. He's just going to be unleashed today. In chat, by the way, boots in the ground, or I guess a Houston fan talking about Monty's talking about Dusty Baker, the manager. The Astros will play full on to finish out the season, due in part to the layoff. And he says that McCullers and Verlander both expected to go 6 innings, 90 pitches. Well, okay, fair enough. It's a little surprising with both those guys' history of injuries. But you're talking
McCullers,
about the layoff.
McCullers has been 97 plus in 4 straight. So if he's only going to go 90 at 10-3, the matchup's not the best matchup against Philly. What if he gets into trouble in the 5th and he's at 82 pitches? Probably getting yanked, right? I don't know. It's tough to say.
He's actually been pretty efficient of late, which that historically he's always a guy that would throw 100 pitches in 4 2/3, right? But he's actually thrown 7, 6, and 7 his last 3 times out, and a lot of strikeouts as well too. Good matchups, to be fair. Tampa, Oakland, and the Angels. But yeah, he's in good form for what it's worth, and he missed the first 3 quarters of the season. A big chunk of the season, 100 plus games, and they wanted to peak just at this time, obviously.
You got a Philly team that's trying to win too. They need to win. I think Philly wins once they're in, if I understand correctly.
So Philadelphia is 86-73. And Milwaukee is 84-75. I don't know who's got the tiebreaker, but they're 2 games up on Milwaukee.
I think they play a game on Thursday if they have a tie. I don't think there's tiebreakers anymore.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Is that why there's a day between? There's no games on Thursday?
Yeah, there's no games on Thursday. We'll travel, yeah.
Yeah, Tony's asking in chat. Yeah, the Brewers still have a shot. The Brewers, don't tell the Brewers they're dead just yet. They can win out, and Philadelphia can lose 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, there's some seeding that you're potentially like the Rays, the Mariners are kind of like they're seeding in there. Like if Tampa loses out or like whoever finishes better over Seattle and Tampa, one will play the Blue Jays and one will play the Guardians. But the opposite side of that is whoever wins that game will play the Yankees and one will play the Astros. So like, where do you want to be seeded wise? So I don't know. Such an interesting time of the year. Usually we're talking like, oh, there's like 4 or 5 teams fighting for like these last play. Not this year, man. It's very interesting this year. That's why I think everything aside, I think that's why Brandon Woodruff's the guy today. Like he's the guy today.
Yeah, biggest K rate on the slate. Double-digit strikeouts in his last 4 games. If you care about such things about current form, 30.6% as far as Ks in the season. Nobody's got a longer leash in my estimation. By the way, J-Rod officially back today. Mariners lineup just dropped. He's back. He's leading off for Seattle, DHing. France, Haniger, Suarez, and big numbers catching too. Nice to see Cal Raleigh in there. Kelnick, who's been coming on of late. Good for him. Moore, Winker, and Frazier. We just got the Brewers. No, we got him a while ago. Brousseau is leading off for the Brewers. Adames, Renfroe, Yelich. McCutchen, Urias, Castanheira, Caratini, and Taylor. Brousseau, a potential pinch hit risk. Just a heads up on that. Once a righty comes in, he gets vulnerable pretty quick, depending on how situations go. As far as ownership goes, like people know this is no secret we're talking about as far as Woodruff and Milwaukee and their need, and also he's a really good pitcher. So ownership's going to reflect that. 11 game slate, at least as of now. Woodruff, almost 42% ownership on DK. The most popular pairing with him is Kirby at 9K, 34%. Musgrove's at 22%. The aforementioned Sandoval at 20%. Carrasco at 14. I would imagine that go obviously weather pending. If it's dicey, that number is going to go down as well. It is interesting that Nola is just 10%. He's fully priced up, but he's got full motivation. The matchup's obviously bad. In that ballpark, you'd rather be facing daunting lefties as opposed to daunting righties. Righties, the 2 best hitters for Houston, Tucker and Jordan, swing from the left-hand side. It's easier to hit home runs in that ballpark as a righty as opposed to a lefty. You got those Crawford boxes down the left field line. They don't strike out a lot. I like the idea of pairing Nola spending up with for Woodruff. Who's your favorite SP2? Woodruff and who?
In cash games, if you're still doing that kind of thing, I think Kirby or Sandoval would be my 2 favorite SP2s. In tournaments, I think you could look at Musgrove and Bailey Ober as SP2s. Currently in my one lineup that I have built, I have Ober. He's going to be low owned. The bottom half of this White Sox lineup, the White Sox are shipping it in. LaRusso came out today. He said he's stepping away from the team. We're going to see a much different White Sox team next year anyway. Abreu's a free agent. Like, they have some core pieces locked in, but with all the injuries and stuff, Dean, I'm shocked that Eloy is in the lineup. I thought he would.
Yeah, he's been out all year. Yeah, recently. What's the point?
I mean, I'm not in my Eloy's locked in for my team for I think 3 more years. Like, he's not playing the rest of the year for sure. But I mean, hey, so low walk rate team, kind of a low strikeout lineup, but just no power in this lineup. As good as the White Sox should be, they haven't been. So I think a guy like Bailey Ober, who has a really good strikeout rate against righties, facing only 3 lefties tonight, is a really interesting tournament play. Roth did update the weather page and did add red to the Mets, and now Toronto-Baltimore is just orange.
So they flipped, right? Is that yeah. I'm looking at it. Yeah, Toronto-Baltimore is now a little bit less daunting. It's orange, which is still daunting. And now the Mets game is orange-red, which suggests doesn't really seem very good. We'll see. Stay tuned. But as of right now, I'm not forcing anything in Washington Mets game.
I'm going to fade both of those games.
Yeah. And the general rules, in case people aren't aware, they should know at this point. We got a really sharp crowd, on game 160. But don't have a one-off in those games. Like, if you're going to roster a player in that game, just stack the game. There's no point in having a one-off there. Risk versus reward doesn't make a lot of sense. You were talking about Bailey Ober as far as his splits. I'm pulling up the old Plate IQ, and So speak to what you're talking about. 27.2% versus righty strikeouts. That's awesome. And the walk rate is insane too, 1.8%. So he's striking everybody out and he's not walking anybody, not giving him a ton of power from both sides. 109 ISO on the righties, 133 versus the lefties. That White Sox lineup, you know, I don't know how I thankfully gave up on him a while ago, but I know a lot of people have been firing at the White Sox all season long, and understandably so, because the names look pretty good, but the numbers have been horrific.
They just haven't been healthy.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
if you like, I'm not doing it, but I think if you like would go through and like look at how many times this year they had their opening day roster, like I bet you it's less than 50. So
Tim Anderson's been out for a good chunk of the season.
Yeah, he's been out. Eloy's been out. Robert's been out. Like the good thing here is like Bailey Ober, he profiles really well with them as well, batted ball profile wise. You know, this is a team that hits fastballs really well, but they struggle with changeups. He has an above average changeup, and that's where he generates a lot of his swinging strikes and strikeouts. Like this dude has a 13.7% swinging strike rate on the season. So, like, yeah, I mean, Woodruff, I think, is at 14%. So this guy is at 13.7. He's generating a lot of misses. So if he could just work on some of the small stuff, like he gets those fly balls down. Like this is only a second-year pitcher in the majors. Like he's someone I think we'll be talking about for years to come. He's talented.
Pulling up the pitch count stuff, I want to see what Cardi has. I mean, he's got Woodruff 102, which again, super safe. Musgrove around 100. He's got Kirby with a really ambitious number, which again, this stuff can kind of change, but I think it's too high personally.
What does he have Kirby at?
99.
Yes, that's too high. He hasn't thrown more than 90. The last time he threw 90 or 100 pitches was Oakland, July 2nd. So I looked at this earlier. He's only thrown over 90 pitches one time since that start in the early of July. So Seattle's locked in. He's been kind of in that like 80 to 90 pitch range, and I think that's where he stays.
So the legend, I'm pulling up the legend. So BPC is the baseline pitch count, and the PPC is the projected pitch count. The baseline pitch count for Kirby is 88, but projected for 99, which again, I don't get it, man. I love.
Listen, I don't question the bat. I use the bat a ton. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
like you know, Cardi. I like giving Cardi crap all the time. But the bat is fantastic. So he's built a very good, if not the best, baseball projection model out there. So I just think that's too high. Happens, right? Like at the end of the day, it happens. When you're looking at like season-long projections, like he's thrown 99 pitches, over 99 pitches one time this year. So it's just, I think that's a little high.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. And Cardi's, you know what it is? He's too busy out there celebrating his Geno Smith call. He doesn't have time to jump back. You know, he's got the blitz, he's got the bat. He's got no time to go back and wait a second.
I played Geno in cash, buddy. I was on Geno on the morning grind on Wednesday. You guys got to catch up.
I was talking about Geno Smith with Rebar and Daigle on my Wednesday night show, and like it wasn't glowingly. We talked about it. I was like, "Oh no, are we gonna play Geno?" And that's kind
I had him ranked the highest in CVRs this week. No one.
I ranked him. I know I ranked him dollar for dollar. You got to rank him, but yeah, yeah.
I mean,
hey, just for a second, if you look at the next week's schedule, I took a peek, and like every single week it's Detroit. They've been over every single game. Like any team versus Detroit, you're supposed to stack. And you know who Detroit's playing this week?
It was some bad team. I can't remember.
Like you're just supposed to like stack the team against the Lions, and you print money, right? It's a print fest. That's the way it's been all season long. You stack up that Seattle Detroit game.
I looked at it last night. I cannot remember now.
It is New England. Ugh. Yeah.
I could play me some Devontae Parker.
I mean, are we excited about? I mean, the two running backs. I don't know who's going to be the guy and who's not going to be the guy. Maybe
it's Belichick. He's going to play both of them.
Yeah, but their roles are kind of defined. One is more of like the receiving back, but it's.
I'm more excited to play Tyreek Hill against the Jets with good old fashioned Bridgewater at quarterback.
Oh man, well, I mean,
I'm just popping in to say that nobody in New England is excited about New England either. So,
what was Belichick so upset? I was watching the game and I had it on mute. Why was Belichick so upset? He was throwing stuff into the game. But what happened? What made him upset? You know?
Probably realized that he is nothing as a coach without Tom Brady.
Man, it's has his legacy been tarnished now in New England? Is he starting to like? It feels like he doesn't have the stench of like Tony La Russa. That's a whole different conversation. But it feels like he's just kind of like he's no longer scary. Remember, like people used to be, oh man, Belichick, he's just going to shut us down. He's going to shut down the best player and yada yada. That aura is kind of gone, right?
Well, it's more like, if we're going to get into it, it's more like he's playing a video game that he's played 100 times. So he puts it on the hardest difficulty that there possibly can be by hiring Matt Patricia as a offensive coordinator and getting the worst roster that he can, and just to see what he can do. One of those situations. That's what it feels like.
Are you excited for Bailey Zappi season?
I mean, how do you not start Zappy over Hoyer anyways? What do you learn about your team with Hoyer? Nothing, right? So he should have been starting all along, but no. I mean,
isn't there a chance that Mac Jones plays this week?
It'd be foolish. Why would you play with a high ankle sprain this early coming off of it?
There was
I
agree. There was that practice last Friday, which I thought was weird. And like he's the way they were talking about it, and they were saying the moans he was making in the pain he was in coming off the field. Like, there's no way this guy's playing next week. But was that a false report? Like he was at practice allegedly. Like
they were pumping it up that he was going to play. Right? They're like, oh, Mac Jones might play this Sunday, and then the Tua stuff happened, and then the next day they were immediately like, no, Mac Jones isn't playing because people were so scared, and rightfully so. It'll be like announcing anybody as playing when they clearly should be sitting.
Yeah. And the Tua stuff, what a disaster for Miami. I assume Bridgewater will be the quarterback for the foreseeable future. I haven't seen anything with Miami, but I assume, Stevie, that's
Tua got ruled out already.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine that. Yeah, they would have to.
I assume he's going to be out. I'm pretty sure Miami's on a bye after the Jets for Week 6, so I don't think we see Tua at minimum till after their bye against the Steelers in Week 7 in Miami for Sunday Night Football. That might be the next time we see Tua.
Yeah, I mean, take as long as you want there, buddy. I mean, who knows? There might be lawsuits they're talking about. Who knows what's going to happen there with that?
Oh, that dude already got fired. He's definitely going to get sued.
Yeah, it was kind of a scapegoat thing, I feel. That was like a PR.
Definitely
like
a scapegoat thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't disagree with you guys. I don't know. But to be fair, like we saw Pat Mahomes like get hit one time and like stumble to the bench and come back and play, and they said it was his back. So I don't know. I listen, when you saw Tua get hit the other day, first of all, I can't believe it wasn't a foul. And second of all, spoken as a true Dolphins fan, but second of all, you're just very thankful that the dude is alive because that did not look good.
Yeah, stretchered off the field is never a good thing.
Yeah,
it was very terrifying.
Taking a peek and seeing if any new lamps have come out here on the old interwebs.
We need the Dodgers lineup. That's the lineup we need.
That's what I'm looking for. I wanted to see if that's coming out. Padres just came out. Kim, Soto. Oh, no Machado. That's kind of a big one. Kim, Soto, lineup. Drury, Bell, Cronenworth, Myers. Campusano is catching.
I might have my cheap catcher.
How Grissom and
Dixon? 2-7.
Did the Padres just like clinch something?
I mean, they're not really playing for anything.
Okay. I mean, should I know who Dixon and Campusano is?
The Padres could technically lose their seeding.
Okay.
But the NL, like all roads eventually lead through either the Braves or the Dodgers anyway. So what does seeding really matter? You're in. They're going to be playing either the Cardinals or the Mets. Yeah, or the Phillies. I don't know. It'd be interesting, but yeah.
I don't want to play against the Mets. I don't want to mess with that pitching.
Especially like DeGrom's back. The Mets watch out for the Mets in the playoffs.
Yeah, they just feel like they're going to be really tough out. Brandon Dixon, he has 4 at-bats this season. He played on 9/29. So I guess I missed that. But that's who's in the lineup today for the Padres. And who is Campusano? Is that another call-up? Is that somebody I've just missed? I think that's a name I would know.
I don't know, but I just plugged him in.
Luis Campusano. Okay, he's been playing
around
a little
for
bit throughout the year. Have I missed this? No, wait.
He's the number 1 prospect in the Padres organization.
Oh boy, I've just been outed for not knowing every single prospect.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep on top of them.
Big raw power guy. 14
Good.
home runs in AAA this season, 15 last year. Got the call up late last year as well. So I don't know. But yeah,
27
fire away.
prospect in all of baseball according to Fangraphs. Not sure if this has been updated, but like you said, the number one prospect on the team, 5'11", 232, catcher / DH.
I don't think
55, 60 raw
Fangraphs
power.
changes they don't change their like prospect rankings all year, right? Like it's what it is at the beginning of the year and it doesn't change, I think.
So MLB changes them, but I don't know if Fangraphs does because they will have a mid-season update. Now I'm curious that you say that.
He's a huge prospect in the Padres organization either way. Big power. So the fact that he's 2,700, fits the build for the lineup I was building.
Let's see. I'm scrolling down. I'm going to MLB, and they update him at some point throughout the year. And I would imagine he probably still is the Padres' number one prospect. He's old enough to be their top guy. Let's see. He might have fallen out, actually. According to MLB, their top two are Merrill and Lesko, 83 and 98 in the season. Let's see whether for this. Has he fallen out? Yeah. I mean, at some point, he was a big prospect. And is he not even on the list? This is weird. Did he lose his prospect status? Did I miss something here? Okay. Anyways, now just my curiosity.
Well, I mean, it would have been technically he got called up in 2020 to play one game.
Okay,
played a little
so
in 2021 and played some 2022. So like maybe he's not technically like listed as a prospect anymore.
Aaron in chat's talking about Nola being not as good on the road. I thought it was interesting. Somebody in chat was talking about Nola's not played against Houston since 2017, that seems kind of weird. Like I know, one American, one national, but still you kind of cross paths at some point. If you're a BVP guy or pitcher versus team guy, that sort of thing does something for you. But I just like the fact that Nola's good and he's well motivated. And like if he's pitching well, he can go like 7+ innings or so out there. Ownership, again, is pretty low on him too. So I like that as well. You said your favorite pairing was a Kirby. Like even Kirby, if he throws 85, 90 pitches, he should still be really good because he's facing Detroit, and Detroit is horrific, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all price point thing. Woodruff, SP1, no question about it. You could potentially like Nola is pitching for something. His leash is just as long as Woodruff. It's a close game, and he's pitching well. It's just a much tougher matchup against Houston with their normal lineup out there. So like SP2 for me. Kirby would be like the guy if I'm not worried about salary, and then Sandoval. Those two guys are probably like the chalkier options. Musgrove, chalkier option. I want to stack the Dodgers, so I'm looking at playing like Bailey Ober in tournaments instead, especially with like no chance I'm playing Barrios now. Barrios was cheap. Him and Kramer were really interesting from like price and projected ownership like perspective, but with the weather, no chance. So I think Bailey Ober would be the guy that I'd pivot off of Patrick Sandoval to now.
Brandon Dixon led the Tigers in home runs for a season. Is that the guy? Wasn't he on the Tigers several years ago? Is
not
that the
saying much.
Is that the same person? What was the number, Michael? What was the number of home runs that he hit to lead Detroit? Because that name does sound familiar. I just saw Dixon. I didn't see the B in front of him. But, I'm curious how many home runs he actually did hit because that name did make sense. And then also, what else? What does it say about him that the Detroit let him go? like he can't hang in Detroit.
They lead Detroit with like 15 home runs one year because all his max home runs in a year is 16 or
That
15 in the majors.
That can't possibly be. He had 15 home runs in 2019.
Yeah,
Could that possibly be the highest home run hitter for Detroit?
I mean, it makes sense.
Okay, now
It's
you're
Detroit.
putting me on a Google mission. 2019 Detroit Tigers. This can't be right, can it?
He had 52 RBIs.
I mean, good for him, but that
His ISO was under 200. Like,
Cabrera didn't hit 15 home runs then?
2019, maybe.
You know what? Michael appears to be right in chat. But
I wasn't questioning if he's right. I just said that's how bad Detroit is.
15 home runs led the team. Ronnie Rodriguez hit 14. Who's Ronnie?
Miggy had 12.
Miggy had 12. Gooderham had 12. Jacoby Jones, 11. Nick Castellanos at 11. In 400 at bats. Jeez. John Hicks had 13. What a
Someone
terrible
in chat
team
posted that Seattle took Castillo out at 77 pitches. Yeah, Castillo. It's either going to be Castillo or Ray pitching on Friday. So
yeah,
I don't
those are
think,
1-2.
Yeah, so I don't think that's the same situation.
All right. So Brandon Dixon, not really a power hitter, but he did once lead Detroit in home runs. He did it in 391 at bats. So it didn't, not even a full season. But
15 home runs, baby. Let's go.
that's pretty wild, man. Yeah, that Detroit
like
team
a home run every 30 at bats or something.
What was the record that Detroit team? Oh boy, it was 47 and 114. What? They missed the game too. It was going so poorly. Like, let's not even play 162. Let's play 161. I've had enough. Let's just go play some golf and let's go to Hawaii or whatever. I don't know why. I guess a rain thing. They never made it up. But that might have been Ron Gardner's last managerial spot. Maybe, right? I feel like he's not in baseball now.
Rough days for Detroit fans.
Yeah. Oh, actually, they brought him back the next year.
Hey, at least if you're in Detroit and you're like a sports fan, you're watching some, fun watching football games.
We have Jose in chat. What's up, Jose? He said, how about my Spidey bum on last Wednesday? Dude, I mean, that's 5 days ago, man. I don't remember who you picked 5 days ago. I trust you got. Who were they? Take the victory lap. I don't remember who they were offhand. That was 5 days ago, but congratulations, whoever it was. I imagine you wouldn't say that and they didn't homer. And today, Jose's got Kirk and Waller. Waller's another person that I'm like, who is this person? They have a lot of power, and I can't remember which team Waller was on because this time of year you see these names like Waller. Who's Waller? I think he had 70 power on Fangraphs. So I was looking at it the pre-show for Minnesota. Yeah, this Matt Wallner guy has got a couple homers so far this year, and I believe it was 70 raw power on Fangraphs, if I'm not mistaken. So, and the Kirk one, you need him to play first, and we'll see if that game goes. But
right-handed bats in Baltimore. Yeah, I don't love that one.
Yeah, with a 380-foot wall, and it's like high too. I mean, come on. You got to earn your homers.
Do you think they change it this year, this offseason? Do they think they change back? I've heard a lot of fans in Baltimore very upset.
Well, I mean, their pitching's better. I mean, I don't know. I've not heard any feedback as far as
all 2,000 that go to the games very upset that they're not hitting home runs anymore in Baltimore. But I mean,
the fans they have are good. Like, I mean, they have respectable crowds, and they have one of the best fan reactions when they're in the playoffs. Or was it a playoff game or to get into the playoffs? When you watch the compilations, that city gets behind the team when they're good. I know every city's like that, but. And it feels like it's been a while since they've had something to root for there.
To be fair, I don't think it changes. I think it's funny.
I don't think it's changing either. I mean, they wouldn't, and they would just 1 year and that's it. That's an experimental thing. But I like offense and home runs, so I just prefer. I mean, Yankee Stadium, down the right field line is kind of goofy too. Maybe there's a happy medium between those two. But the really ridiculous one, depending on where you're shopping, Arizona. Dead center in Arizona is 440 or something like that. You ever see just some specific dimensions? And they have a wall too. It's what is it, 420 or 430 in dead center in Arizona?
Yeah, it's tough to go yard dead center in Arizona.
But Oakland dead center, Oakland stinks. But if you hit a dead center, it's 390. So it's one. That's the place where you got to hit. It's not a good ballpark for home runs, but it's one of the best spots to hit a dead center ball.
One ballpark we never want to change is Cincinnati.
I've not been to that one before. It looks
Great American nice. Small park. Leave it the way it is. Watch them fly, baby.
Some pitchers, I'm sure, wanted to change.
What pitchers? They don't know pitchers.
I mean, well, Luis Castillo, I guess, doesn't care anymore.
There you go.
LaCastro wants to change. How about that? And Green. They have a couple of good young fireballs.
Lidio, isn't he?
Lodello? Is that Lodello?
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't he?
Or LaCastro? Yeah. I think it's Lodello. I'm getting it.
Lodello, yeah.
LaCastro is the guy who pinch runs with the Yankees. Lodolo.
Yeah, I was close. I don't know.
Samsonite? Other pitchers, Glass.
We covered pitching, Dean. pitching on this slate, it's all about like who do you think's going to throw enough pitches for ceiling? Like Kirby could throw 80, 85 pitches. He's good. Musgrove, even in like 85 pitches, he's solid. Sandoval, we have the sample size. They've been out of it for a while. He's going to get his normal pitches if he's pitching well. Bailey Ober is going to get his normal pitches if they're pitching well. I think the pitchers you got to be worried about is Severino. Definitely not playing Tony Gonzalez today.
Yeah.
Carlos Carrasco and the weather, I think, is something like Carlos Carrasco, no weather against Washington in
Feels
in
good
New
in that
York.
ballpark.
We would have been all over Carrasco today, but with the weather, no chance.
Yeah, Squatch Happens just jumped in there asking about the Mets weather. I dropped the link in chat. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth will be on in about 40 minutes, 30 minutes or so, but feel free to read the article there. Short answer is it looks dicey as far as the Mets, orange, yellow, and Baltimore as well. Not particularly great. Particularly as far as whether it's orange there, but Toronto, Baltimore, and Washington versus the Mets. Currently an 11-game slate. Might get knocked down to 10. Might get knocked down to 9. We love Woodruff. It's chalk, but it feels like really good chalk. I like Nola if he's going to be 10% owned on DK. I'll take my chances against the Astros. And Kirby is if he throws 85, 90 pitches. And I guess they don't have a huge urgency, right? And they want to keep him fresh. And a lot of these pitchers, and you could probably speak to this, you were a pitcher, you have your routine, right? And there's something too, I imagine, staying on your every 5 days, every 6 days, whatever it happens to be. And if he gets it derailed, it might be in the long run like a negative, right? So he wants to get his work in. They're just not going to overexert him, but he probably goes 5 or 6 innings and throws 85 pitches or so, and they should be successful because it's against Detroit. So I'm good with Kirby as well.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, bullpen sessions and even live bullpen sessions are just not the same as a game environment. So game innings and game pitches are way different than bullpen or live bullpen environments. So you really want to see guys stay on that 5 to 7 day live, type of pitches, routine.
Shannon saying, why on earth are Ohtani and Trout still playing? Well, I mean, they're playing out the string. They'll probably, they might get a day off at some point. I was looking at, Trout's played maybe 120 games, 119 games this year. And he's got
one home run away from 40. What's crazy is how good he has been this year when he's been healthy.
He's been awesome. Yeah. You sort of he missed a good chunk of the season and he's close to, Judge obviously is way ahead of the field as far as home runs in the American League, but I think he's maybe 3 or 4 in the race as far as, home runs in the American League specifically. But the season's been good.
If you love WAR, he has a 5.8 WAR. He's really good.
Is that a good catch-all? I don't really know. I know a lot of people use WAR as a good catch-all, and as far as WAR this season, Judge is at 11.4.
He's on a winning team though, so it's so. I mean, WAR is a good number when your team's winning. I don't think there is a perfect number. I still think if I'm looking at anything about anybody, WRC Plus is probably my favorite to say he's the best hitter in blah blah blah. WRC Plus is still my favorite stat when I'm looking at overall numbers. It's
also easy because if your WRC Plus is 125, 100's the baseline, 100's the average player. If it's 125, you're 25% better than the average baseball player. And also WRC Plus factors in the ballpark you play in too. It's ballpark adjusted. So that's my favorite catch-all. But everything is going to be somewhat flawed to some degree, right?
And it's based on WOBA, so it's not using regular old batted average anymore, and it's using weighted batting average and stuff. So I'm a huge fan of WRC Plus. If you're a premium member, you probably already know this because for years I've used it in my write-ups and stuff.
Why is Trout not listed in the home runs? Is he not a qualified hitter, but he still has
425 at bats or something.
But why do you have to be qualified? What if I had 55 at bats and 45 home runs? Why am I not ranked? Give me the 45 homers. Judge
Trout
is 17 up in the field.
Trout's 5th in home runs.
Yeah, but it's not in the rankings. It's so weird. I pulled up Fangraphs and I'm sure it's ESPN or CBS or something like that. But Fangraphs is
take off qualified at bats.
Yeah, but why is that even a thing? Okay,
because you have to have qualified at bats for the other stats.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I suppose that's what it is because I'm losing my mind over here. Yeah, he's 4th in the league, 39, and he's got 200 less at bats than Judge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's still really, really good. I know I hear people besmirch Trout all the time, and I think if you look at WAR, I believe he's 2nd, right? No.
I mean, if you look at WRC plus, that's where you have to like turn on like some type of plate appearances. So like say, let's do 350.
You know who's number 1 if you put a minimum 100 plate appearances?
Yeah, I saw it. I have the same page up. Like Trout's 4th behind Judge, Alvarez, Goldschmidt. And I mean, okay, that sounds about right. Jordan Alvarez is someone we're going to be talking about for years.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good deal for both Houston and for Jordan, you know, that he signed earlier in the year. They're getting him for his prime years, and obviously he's not the best fielder in the world, but I thought it was pretty
DH
fair
rule, though, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? As long as you can slug, we're good to go. Otani they avoided arbitration. I think the Angels gave him $30 million for next year.
$30 million for
it's a steal. It's an absolute steal. Yeah. I mean, assuming what he can do with the arm and the bat, it's a shame that the Angels just waste him. I think they need right?
They need to get in the Angels need to get in the free agent market this year, man. Like they could be a team that could contend.
They do that. They just buy terrible players. Like, you know, they've had a lot of bad luck too, obviously, in that organization all around, injuries and tragic deaths. Rendon is just a big waste of money. Pujols is having I mean, like, you know, he had some good years with the Angels, obviously, but overall he wasn't spectacular there. Yeah, Trout.
I mean, go out and get like a Mitch Haniger or like something along like those lines, right?
They'll spend. They just don't spend wisely. That Rendon contract is a monster contract, and I feel like there's somebody else I'm sure I'm missing and just completely forgot. Many years ago, remember Mo Vaughn? They signed Mo Vaughn to a huge contract, and he was a disaster there.
So my question to you, while we're talking about free agent, because we're gonna fly through hitters, and this is fine. Where do you think DeGrom ends up next year?
Is he a free agent? I guess he is.
He has the player option to opt out.
He stays with the Mets. Like the owner doesn't care. He's got money. He's fine. He's willing to spend it. Assuming
he's fine. Do you think he opts out to try to get more money?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you opt out. You want to get a long-term deal.
Gosh, can he just put on a Red Sox uniform?
Like, why would he want to go? Like, and he's a Florida guy, right? He's not signing with Tampa. He's not far from Tampa, right? As far as where he was born and raised.
Yeah, so he grew up by me. So 2.5 hours max.
Yeah, Josh Hamilton was another one. There you go. The chat's talking about Josh Hamilton.
Oh, Anthony Rendon's contract's ridiculous.
It's a bad contract. Yeah. Like the Angels probably will throw money around, but the thing is, they're in the middle. I think they're up for sale. Isn't Moreno putting? I feel like they're selling him, or they're allegedly up for sale.
Like I know, I'm pretty sure like Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, I think Dansby Swanson from the Braves is a free agent. Like, there's some players that could make a difference on the Angels team. Like, we were talking about Jose Abreu earlier, you know? Like, add a couple hitters, like quality hitters around.
His better years are behind him, though, right? He's like 35.
He's such an on-base machine, though. I don't know.
Apparently, according to Brian, DeGrom is a Braves fan, which would kind of make sense, right? But the Rays were around when he was a child. But the Braves are just more fun to root for, I'm guessing.
Well, we grew up like Chipper Jones' hometown. Like everything around where we grew up is Chipper Jones. And like he grew up on the north side of town where like Chipper Jones played baseball and everything. And like he has fields named after him. So like watching Chipper Jones as like a kid was a thing around my area.
The opposing crowd used to chant Larry when he's at the plate?
Yep.
Rockies lineup just came out. Daza leading off, McMahon, Rogers, Diaz, Grichuk, Bouchard, Trejo, Tovar, Taglia. We have Gleyber Torres was scratched for the Yankees. No Torres, cross him off the list. Judge leading off, Stanton, LeMahieu, Donaldson, Peraza, Hicks, IKF, Higashioka, and Marwin Gonzalez. Still waiting on those Dodgers. If anybody in the chat wants to talk about a pitcher, feel free to throw it out there. Otherwise, we're going to talk about some hitters. We've talked about it a few times, teased it kind of in passing as far as the Dodgers. They have the clear highest total on the board, almost 6. They're facing Jose Urena, who's not good. He's been really lucky, by the way, as far as his homer and the fly ball stuff, especially pitching in cores. Not a ton of fly balls, but his homer and the fly ball is like, 10 or 11% or something like that. And I think that's, let's see, I was digging in this earlier today. His homer on the fly ball is this somebody else? Okay, now I'm confused because never mind. There it is. Yeah, 11.1%, which seems kind of lucky, and 29.4% as far as fly balls. So, and the ERA has been bad. 5, over 5. The Sierra is 5.05 as well. Not a good pitcher. Not backed up by a lot of lefties. Also, we talk about that bullpen there in Colorado. Ty Block only threw 3 pitches on Saturday, but he threw on Friday as well, too, 33. They do have Austin Gomber, who can come in as a long man on occasion. But the other thing, Stevie, is like the Dodgers, how much do they care about left on right and left on left and even winning this game tonight? Does that stuff matter to them? They just want to get their guys, their bats, and that's that. Like, and maybe get some left on left, experience. I don't know. Does that stuff matter to the Dodgers tonight?
Being off for 6 days, I think, matters.
Yeah.
Getting your guys at bats. Again, like live BP is just not the same as a game environment and getting at bats. So, I mean, when you're the Dodgers, you are the best team in baseball this year. You want to keep that momentum. They're won 7 of their last 10 games. Like, you want to keep that momentum.
We got Sizzle Pistol in chat, who's in a fantasy baseball championship. I don't know what kind of league is this. Need advice for today's slate. Picked up Kirby. First, how is Kirby available in your league? How does that happen? Okay, you picked up Kirby, who's been like really, really solid. Need another pitcher. I can't use Musgrove or Woodruff because they are the other team. But everybody else is available? I'm so confused, Stevie. I want to help out Sizzle Pistol, but what kind of league has Kirby available on the waiver wire, just like sitting there?
Has to be some. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be Nola pitching for something meaningful.
How can he be available?
But that's the question. The question is, I need another pitcher. I can't use Musgrove or Woodruff. So he's saying he can't use Musgrove or Woodruff. So I think it would be Nola.
Okay. Yeah. Stan wants to know an interest in Severino. The issue with him is length, right? How long are they going to let him go? Long history of injuries. This game means nothing. If you pull up his recent starts, last time out.
Yeah, he came back and he threw
76
5 and
pitches.
4 innings. Yeah.
Would they extend him again? Like typically you go up like in 15 pitch increments. Would they give him 90? I wouldn't think so. Like 90, maybe.
I think 90 is max. I think it's closer to like 80, 85.
Yeah. I mean, if you're running 150, I can see him being in the pool. Like he can possibly be optimal in 5 innings, but you got to thread that needle. Matchup there versus Texas. All right. Anything else as far as pitchers? You want to talk some hitters? You want to talk some stacks? And we've talked about the Dodgers already. They're going to be the most popular team. They're going to wait as long as possible to give us their lineup. I keep jumping on Twitter and I keep refreshing, and I can't find it. But eventually it'll come out because it's not NBA. It's not going to come out a minute before the game actually starts. Give me my favorite pivot stack away from him is Milwaukee. Brissot kind of is goofy because I think he's going to lead off. He's not very good. And there's a decent chance he gets the hook. He turns him like Rowdy Tellez or something like that. Give me your stacks away from the Dodgers.
I mean, I like Seattle. Like I said, they're still kind of playing for seeding purposes. So I think they're a team that's really interesting. The matchup is solid. I think this is a slate where you don't necessarily need to stack. We're on that time of the year where, you could obviously stacking is fine. But I think like the Dodgers clear cut number 1 option today. I like the Brewers. They're playing for something. I like Seattle. I had interest in the Mets and the Padres. I think the Padres are even more interesting now that like we don't have to worry about pinch hit risk for like Machado and stuff because they he wasn't in the lineup. So, I mean, the only guy that I think you're somewhat worried about is like Soto. So I think the Padres are a little bit more interesting with the weather in New York. Maybe I bump up the Padres, but I mean, the Dodgers, the Brewers, Seattle, and the Padres would be the 4 stacks today.
Detroit lineup just dropped. We got Baddoo, Green, Baez, Cabrera, Castro, the mouthwash, Jonathan Scope, Clemens, Barnhart, and Reyes. Pretty standard Detroit lineup.
That lineup's so bad.
It's in chat. Naked HG just said we're stacking Detroit. I'm not.
No.
You can. Like, you're an adult.
Do they have a hitter with an ISO over 150? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I would play Miggy if it was like 2015 or so. But yeah, it's.
I mean, going back, what we were just looking at with Miggy, it needs to be like 2010.
When is this his last year of his contract, or he's got one more?
I don't know.
I feel like it's got to be it, right? It's 8 years, 248. By the way, good for him. It's been rough on the back end.
I think next year's is not last year, for what it's worth.
Well, wait a second. Hold on. According to Sport Track, let's see. 20 are these option years or something like that? I like how he's got like bonuses for MVP and All-Star game.
Miggy will come back in the 2023 season, Detroit News reports on October 1st.
Well, yeah, I love when they say he's got 32 million reasons. Like each reason's $1. Who made it? Who decided that? Why is a reason worth $1? I never understood. Like, he's got 5 million reasons to come back and play. He's making $5 million. Yeah, he's got $32 million guaranteed in 2023. He'll be age 40. And then the next 2 years might be option years. But yeah, that might be it. And T from LOC says he's going to be stacking Detroit. Well, I mean, go for it. Have at it.
This is the last week of baseball. I mean, you might as well light some more money on fire before the season ends.
I have not played Detroit, basically. I mean, I'll pick my spots here and there, and on occasion, I don't like to speak in definitives, and certainly I've played some Detroit, but obviously one of the least appealing teams on the board. And, Kirby's really solid. He's really good. But so I'm not picking on him. Have at it. If you're running 150, and I'm not playing that DraftKings. I don't know if you're playing on DraftKings today, but their big contest, man, it's like 150 and 50 up top. Like, I can't play that. I got my principle, Stevie. I can't do it. I can't play when it's 33% up top. I just can't. I can't click that button.
Yeah, I hated. They did that with the NASCAR tournament this weekend, and I did not enter one team in it. And I love Max entering the big tournaments for NASCAR for Talladega and Daytona, and nope.
Yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, it's spectacular. It's great if you bank.
Yeah, I think it was like 52% of the payout was in the top 10. Like, no.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like when it's all top heavy like that. TJ in chat, what's up, TJ? I haven't looked, but I'm guessing it's an egregious number as far as likes, because, dude, I mean, who's grinding baseball at this point of the season? You guys, we appreciate you hanging with us, but yeah, if you're hanging around, kindly hit that like button, do subscribe, hit those notifications. Basketball around the corner, baseball, 2 more slates before we dive into the playoff.
All right, before we get into hitters, Dean.
Yeah,
Stevie trivia. We're gonna go Detroit Tigers. Who leads the Tigers and how many home runs? Who leads the Tigers in home runs this year?
Oh, it's not Baez, because he's got like 13 or something. Maybe he's got maybe 15. Who is Detroit's leading man? It's not the dude that's playing for the Padres, right? It's not that guy. Who's leading Detroit in home runs? It's probably not the mouthwash Scope. It's not Baddoo. He's barely been up this year. Who could it? It's not Riley Green. He hasn't been up all season. God. What's the number? Like 18?
16.
So Baez is right there, but I don't think Baez has 16. How many does Candelario have? Could it be Candelario?
He has 13.
It's not Candelario. It's a quick UCF math. Dude, I don't know, man.
Haas has 14. Baez has 16.
I
just gave you the answer.
Oh, the answer is Baez?
Yeah, Baez has.
That was the obvious answer. Okay, I thought it was a trick question. I was like, well, it's not Baez because he's been bad. But okay, by default, it's Baez.
pretty sad.
Yeah, he's been bad, and they paid him pretty good. But this is the first year of what 4 or 5 seasons.
I don't even think they have 100 home runs total.
Naked HD saying, "I don't know baseball." Yes, I don't know. I don't know who the leader of the Detroit. I just don't know Detroit baseball.
I was just helping Dean's point of like why we don't stack the Tigers.
Yeah, home runs are good in DFS, and if you don't have home runs, you know it's kind of a problem. Even if they put up 8 runs, like 8 runs is not 8 runs is not 8 runs. It depends upon how you get those 8 runs. I'll take 5 runs and 4 homers as opposed to 1 home run and 8 runs, right?
Yeah, I mean they only have one hitter with over 50 RBIs this year, and that's Baez. Like it has been a rough year, and that's why we stack against Detroit or pitchers against Detroit all the time.
Stevie, we said it before. You talked about it. We got our punt catcher right in San Diego.
Yeah.
Where is he batting in the lineup? Batting 7th. He's not full 2K on DK, but he's 2.7K, 2.7 on Fanduel. Not necessarily as useful on Fanduel, but certainly you can play him over there. He's exhibited a ton of power there in the minor leagues. A prospect as well in the organization, facing kind of a bullpen game for San Francisco, I suppose. You have anything else that's worthwhile? Will Smith, if he cracks that lineup for the Dodgers, all Dodgers will be worthwhile. Is he somebody you're prioritizing? Probably not. Like certainly you can stack him up in your Dodger stacks, but I don't know if I get there. Like if I have only 2 or 3 big spends, it's probably not going to be Will Smith, but I'm not discouraging it either. As far as Will Smith, as far as other catchers, what do you got?
I mean, I think catchers are definitely pinch hit risk in general, just because if they can get a few innings off at the end of the game, those knees a break. But I mean, I think I want to pay down a catcher as much as possible today. I think if I'm paying up for anybody, it would have been Smith for sure. Rutschman would have been the option. You could pay down. I think Gary Sanchez is interesting against Cueto. Cappuccino against whoever this dude is pitching for San Francisco. It looks like it's going to be a bullpen type of game or whatever. And yeah, they're not rolling anybody good out right now. And then Higgs for the Yankees against Perez is somewhat interesting. Caratini from Milwaukee against Henry. It's a cheap catcher day. Like, unless you're paying up for like Will Smith, I don't even think I want to play Real Muto 6K, man. Like that's not even like enticing to try to play him. Yeah.
The problem with Martin Perez, he's a ground ball guy, right? He just doesn't give up a lot of home runs, and
we'll see how that works against the Yankees.
We'll see. I mean, yeah, on the season, his homer per fly ball this season he's been lucky. You got to concede that 6.7.
Yeah, but his hard to soft contact ratio is like 28%. That means like 28% is a really ridiculous number for a hard to soft contact ratio. Like you want the Yankees bats.
Yeah, 30%.
Totally forgot to mention the Yankees bats when we're talking about stacks. But yeah, I like the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, Judge is a guy that's safe. Like, he's not coming out. They want him to get as many homers as possible. Rest of that lineup, who knows? Anything else to say as far as catcher? I'll say the Angels, if they have Logan Hoppy. If he cracks the lineup, he's another one of those prospects out there that are really cheap. 2.3.
That's a great call against Martinez, and he should hit like 5th or 6th in that lineup.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye and see if we're getting some lineups strolling on through, but I would imagine he'll be in it. Why not give the kid a look? Nothing else has dropped as far as lineups. What do you have as far as first base?
I mean, Freddie Freeman, I think, is the option. I really had interest in Pete Alonso, but I mean, with that weather, I think I'm just going to fade that game. So I think Freeman. Ty France is really interesting against Garcia from Detroit. I think Seattle is just interesting in general. I mean, we lost some cheap bats here with like Vogelbach, but I think if you want to go cheap, it's probably Josh Bell. 3.2K hitting cleanup in the San Diego spots. So, yeah, I mean, first base is pretty straightforward for me. Like I said, my favorite would be Freddie Freeman. But I had a ton of interest in Alonso until all this weather stuff happened.
Yeah, I saw somebody in chat mention Riley Adams, and yeah, we're just not expecting. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to speak for that, but the weather's dicey in the Riley Adams game. Washington at New York. We've dropped Ross' article there several times in the chat. I'll do it again. He'll be on in about 15 minutes or so. Give you guys an update. But if you want to read his update as of like 15, 20 minutes ago, weather is fluid. Obviously, things may have changed, but it's dicey in New York as far as the Mets, and it's also dicey for Toronto at Baltimore. Somebody in chat was mentioning the extremes as far as umpires tonight. We have several extreme hitters umpires. Extreme hitters umpire for Johnny Cueto, for Joe Musgrove, Bailey Ober, and John Barbia. And as far as the extreme pitchers umpire, if this game goes, you got Bill Miller, who's going to be a big old rush because it's probably going to be raining too. Kramer versus Barrios, Baltimore versus Toronto, extreme pitchers umpire. Let's jump to you talked about first. You want to jump to second base?
Yeah, I mean, Gavin Lux is probably going to be the chalk if he's in the lineup against Jose Arena, 3.6K. I think this is a great spot for him. Outside of him, I mean, Cronenworth, again, you're going to see a common theme with me today. DJ LeMahieu, his price is really, kind of enticing here at 4.3K, hitting third against Perez. Again, Perez gives up so much hard contact, and the Yankees are just full of fly ball hitters. This is going to be a problem today for him. And the Dodgers are such fly ball hitters too against Urena's ground balls. So on the cheap side, maybe like a Nick Gordon hitting third against Johnny Cueto if you want to go there. But I mean, Brandon Dixon's in the lineup. He's 2.3K. He led the Tigers in home runs in 2019 when they won 30 games. So
a lot of competition for that lead.
Yeah. I mean, Javi Baez leading them this year. So
I never would have got that trivia question correct.
Dude, no chance. No chance. Even the Baez one, I would have just guessed Baez because of Baez. But Brandon Dixon, good trivia question, whoever that was in YouTube chat, because I never would have gotten that right. But and one other name I'll mention is Paredes from Tampa against Rich Hill. I don't hate that spot for him at second base.
Rich Hill's 42, 43 years old. And he's
Is it his last career start? What do you think? We talked about this on the morning grind today.
No, it's funny you say that because I Googled the same thing. I go, I wonder if he's talked about retirement. You also think this time of year, people going for certain accolades, they want 30-30 and I think for betting wise, I wonder if there's anything out there. I should looking for articles somebody is trying, there's an incentive to steal a base because they want to get a 20-20 or 30-30. That kind of stuff matters to them. There's so few 30-30 guys. Is there anybody 30-30 in the league this year? I think Mullins did it last year. I want to say he was the first guy ever for Baltimore to do 30-30. And I feel he did it in the last day of the season or close to the last day of the season.
There's not many people that hit 30 home runs this year.
Well, the stolen base thing is even harder. There's more guys that hit 30 home runs than 30 stolen bases, I think.
Do you want to know who leads the MLB this year in stolen bases? John Birdie.
I'll tell you, I know Acuna's he's top 5.
I just told you, John Birdie. Acuna's 7.
Birdie. Okay. And he's missed a chunk of the season too.
Yeah, he's done it he's stole 39 bases in 391 plate appearances, but Mullins would be the closest. Arozarena is a 2020 guy. Bobby Witt Jr. is a 2020 guy, and Trey Turner. Julio Rodriguez is a 2020 guy. Kyle Tucker is a 2020 guy. Garcia from Texas and Marcus Simeon are both 2020 guys, and JT Realmuto is a 2020 guy. Oh, Jose Ramirez is 2020 as well.
Mateo's 15 on Baltimore, right? Jorge Mateo.
Who?
Jorge Mateo, I feel is 15-15. I don't know if that's
he's 13 and 34. He has 34 stolen bases.
Okay, yeah, I know. Well, I was saying you can't say 15 and 30, right? I guess you can, but I feel you got to stick to the same number. I'm not sure how that works.
Tucker would be the closest. Tucker has 29 home runs and 25 stolen bases, but I don't think anyone's getting 30-30 this year.
He ain't stealing 5 bases. He's not going to be pushing that the last.
Nah, he's going to be chilling.
No chance. That ain't happening.
No one's 30-30 this year.
Interesting. Yeah, that used to be a thing once upon a time. Acuna's 2020. Does he have 20 home runs? He's got 20 home runs, right? Finally.
Acuna has 15 home runs.
Just 15. Man, he's been out for a while, but he's got 25 home bases.
Yeah, he's 28.
Third base. What do you got as far as the hot corner?
We really need to see this Dodgers lineup. Muncy, if he plays, you can play Ty France at third base as well. Trying to a one-off home run on Devers against Glasnow. I don't think Glasnow is going to throw more than 4 innings.
He probably sees him twice. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. And maybe that's too many times. Glasnow did not look too sharp. He had good speed, but didn't look too sharp. So Devers at really low ownership is interesting. Muncy, Ty France. I don't see a lot of paydowns at third base that I feel comfortable with. I think third base is a position you're probably spending up for today.
I don't really want to pick on Severino, but Young's 2.6, but yeah, that's not. So Brousseau is leading off versus Tommy Henry. He's 2.3K. Yeah, you might get the hook, but he's 2.3K, and like whatever. Like that's if you need the salary, I'm okay with it. Anybody else interesting?
No, I think he's the only one that I would play that's cheap. Like I still think there's a huge opportunity cost at third base today. I think you're paying up though.
What about shortstop? I think about shortstop today.
I mean, Trey Turner just seems like one of the guys the Dodgers would yank if they're winning. Like he would get a quick hook. Gosh, man, shortstop stuff for me. Correa against Cueto, Willie Adames against Henry. Adames is probably my favorite. Franco against Rich Hill. Going down and saving money. Peraza, I guess. Isn't he hitting fifth now with Torres getting taken out of lineup? So hitting fifth against Perez for the Yankees. I think he's 2.5K, so I think he would probably be my favorite spend down option. If you want to take a shot on Nick Allen against a chalky Sandoval hitting leadoff at 2.1K, but I mean, he plays for Oakland. So yeah, I think Oswald Peraza would be my favorite cheap play. 2.5K, and then with Torres out, he's hitting fifth tonight.
Nick and HD says, "Is Arizona a sneaky stack today? Like they're not going to get played. Like have a good time with it. It's the old leverage play too. If you believe leverage is a thing, or this would be by definition a good leverage spot. I don't think it happens, but there's a chance. There's baseball variance and goofy stuff happens.
No, I mean if Woodruff is getting shelled, they're bringing in their best bullpen arms. Like this is a must-get win for the Brewers. So no. I mean, go for it if you want some leverage. But
hey, look, if you're playing in the contest, that's $150,000 total prizes and $50K up top. You could do that there. Like that. That's where I would encourage it, as opposed to
sure. I mean, you could fade Woodruff, but I don't think you're stacking against him. Yeah,
but I'm just saying, understand. If you're going to do that, if you make the decision, like I want to play Arizona, that's where you play him. I'm not saying that I'm going to play him. I'm not. But if you are, at least play him in the right tournament. Don't play him in a single entry contest with like 300 entries. Like, don't do that. If it hits, you want to get paid for it to hit. And yes, I'm mushing Detroit and Arizona. I'm in a lot of trouble. I'm mushing too many teams today. This might not end well. We got Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth coming out in about 5 minutes or so. Crunch time coming up, taking your questions in the premium chat in the Discord. And if there's time, if time allows, Roth, of course, will jump on over to YouTube. Feel free to ask your questions. Fire off your questions as well, too. Myself and Stevie will answer as many questions as possible up until the time we are relieved. I believe, I think it's Will. I think Will's coming in. Chief Justice, as well as Dave Potts, two-time millionaire winner. Cheese is good. Jump to the outfield. Who do you have as far as outfielders today?
Blender and Tim on the Monday Night Football pre-lock show as well later. So,
have we ever heard that combination before? I'm not sure if we have.
I don't know. That'd be a good one. Tim's a really sharp mind.
I like Tim. He's good.
Yep. Christian Walker, 36 home runs for Arizona. Varsho, 27, and then Kettle Marte, 12. There you go.
Woodruff will give up a homer. Like it's certainly he's not going to have a. I wouldn't.
I know it's just a game we're playing today, Dean. It's fun. It's the only thing keeping me entertained today. Listen, my favorite hitter on this entire slate is Judge. Perez is an old veteran, man. He's gonna pitch to Judge, right? Like, I don't know. I think Perez pitches to Judge, and Judge. I think he hits.
Your Red Sox are a bunch of cowards.
No, they're not. I wanted them to pitch to him. Like, I hate that people are not pitching to him. Just pitch to him. Who cares?
Yeah, be a part of history. What's the you can tell your grandkids, right? Whatever.
I mean, I don't know. Anyway, but
honors. Like I gave up like 705 to Pujols or whatever number he's on. 702, 703.
I love seeing Albert Pujols doing what he's doing, man. It's great. But anyway, I love Judge today. I like Ohtani a lot. I think this is a great spot for the Milwaukee outfielders. Renfroe is probably my favorites. McCutchen he's under 4K, so he's kind of cheap here. Haniger in that Seattle offense. I like Seattle, like I've talked about here a little bit. But, I mean, the Dodgers outfielders, Bellinger, Gallo, if he's in the lineup. Mookie Betts was out of the lineup yesterday, like you mentioned, so he should be back in the lineup today. So, I mean, if you want a really low-owned home run, you could chase like a Schwarber or an Alvarez, big-time power in tough matchups. But I would leverage that way before I would leverage stacking against Woodruff.
By the way, we were talking about earlier as far as the Phillies and the tiebreaker. We were tweeted by Marty, who's listening to the show. Phillies have a tiebreaker, a win by Philadelphia or a loss by the Brewers, and they are in. No Thursday game, part of the new CBA. Interesting.
See,
So
I was right. I don't know why I questioned myself. I knew I was right. Why did I question?
Yeah, I mean, why are we assuming there's Pujols slander in the chat? It's just so wild. People just assume they know. Everybody
Pujols is that his swing has not changed in 20 years. He looks the exact same that he did. Give the man a break.
I have no idea.
He's
what
just
he is or
very
is not
good.
doing, but to just assume he is outrageous.
He's just very good.
You know, it's just not fair. To
Tom Brady juiced for years, right? Like, if we're gonna start like saying like,
What?
you know, like I don't know, it's dumb. Like, I don't know. I think
advanced in medical whatever. Like LeBron spends $500,000 a year. What was the number he said on like getting his body the way he wants to get his body?
Yeah.
Brady did something to his face in the offseason, right? Something's going on there, I feel.
Pujols hit 23 home runs in 2019 as well. And no one ever talked about him juicing. Like, just get off the guy, man. Like, he is one of the best hitters that we're ever going to see in our time, and we just need to be like excited about it.
And I guess is he going to come back next year? Has he spoke on that yet?
I think he said he's done.
Okay, I haven't heard that, but okay.
I thought he said this was the year, and he wasn't coming back to try to beat if he didn't get to 700. I think he's done. I mean, after the year that he's had, I mean, he's hit 23 home runs. He has more RBIs than anybody else on the Tigers.
He's got more homers than anybody in the Tigers as well, obviously.
He does. He sure does.
It's not even close. Speaking of that, give me I just see an updated Cardinals lineup. The Cardinals are not on this slate, right? Am I losing my mind? I just see it jumping on through. They're playing.
They're not on this slate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pujols is in that lineup. I don't know if you guys are playing something with the Cardinals, but something just got changed in their lineup.
He's going to play the last 3 days, right?
Yeah. I mean, DH. He just goes out and swings 4 times. Yeah. I assume that's Arenado was scratched. Thank you, Matt. Okay, I'm looking at their lineup and I'm like, well, why
they're locked in to where they're at.
Yeah,
they'll either be playing, I think, the Phillies or the Padres, or if the Brewers somehow win out and the Phillies somehow lose out. But no one Arenado in that lineup. If you're playing.
You got some homer calls. Who's going to bang one out today?
I mean, top end again. I love this spot for Aaron Judge. I think that he's going to actually get pitched to tonight. So love this spot for him. Cheaper home run, Max Muncy for the Dodgers. And really cheap home run, let's go with Campusino from the Padres, the catcher. So he has 1 home run this year, big time power in the AAA, and 2.7K against whatever pitchers are rolling out there for the Giants.
You guys ready for Kevin to come in and make some clarity on some of this weather?
Yeah, bring it on, man. Chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. We need him today. Roth, you're are you close to Houston? I thought I saw on Twitter you're going to be going to the game. I guess right after the show you're heading out.
That's right. Yeah, it's maybe 30 minutes from here, so I should have plenty of time. Get there, have a few beers, and watch some baseball.
Are you sitting in the Crawford boxes? Did you make a point to get Crawford box seats?
No, I just got whatever free tickets were handed to me, but I think they're pretty good seats, so I'm pleased with it.
Is it just Dave? I thought it was somebody else. Dave, you're covering everything?
I think I was under the impression that Will was coming, but
okay,
you know, we'll see what happens.
All right, fair enough. I thought it was
either Keith or Will. I saw them both on one schedule or another. So, but we're here.
Roth, this is your first baseball game in how long?
4 or 5 years, definitely since before the pandemic, and I wasn't exactly frequenting baseball before the pandemic either. So it's been a hot minute.
I just checked Scores and Odds, Roth. They have you consuming 3.5 beers as the over/under. What's the sharp side? 3.5.
Over.
3.5?
Is that a bad line? Smash the over?
I think the line should be somewhere around 8.5. I think that's more.
Yeah, Dean, you're way too high.
They cut you off after like the 7th inning or something like that. At least most ballparks do. And you must be double. You got a big old funnel going on. How you gonna
that's
knock out?
Plenty of time, Dean. I'm not there for the baseball. I'm there for peanuts, beer, and talking.
Hey, you get to watch Nola pitch and McCullers.
Yeah, I'm bummed. I was kind of hoping to be some scrub, so we'd score like 20 runs and have something to cheer about, but I guess not.
Roth,
Hey, I have one question for Cheese. George Kirby over under 85 pitches. Which one would you take?
Under.
Okay. See, we're not crazy,
but not
Dean.
by much. Like I don't think they're gonna like throw him 50 or something.
No, I said that I think he's closer to 80 than he is closer to 95.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. Yeah,
we speak swimmingly of Cardi, but like we thought the bat was a little bit too ambitious on Kirby, and I assume you saw it as well, Cheese.
Honestly, I can't even look at the pitch counts anymore. So no, I did not look at it.
Because you just don't like. What do you mean you can't look at them anymore?
This last week of the season, like a computer does not know a pitch count. Like that's silly to say in the last week of the season.
It's hard to quantify, I suppose. And Will's here as well. What's up, Will?
Nothing much, man.
Thank you for joining us. So myself and Stevie, you got anything else for the boys? Let's just step aside and let the Roth knock out the weather and let the boys handle the crunch time questions and the good deal, right? You got anything else, or we're gonna go?
Aaron Judge, 62 and 63 tonight.
What? Double dome.
Nice.
All right. I'll see those homers and raise you. You know who's going to home run tonight? Willie Adames is going to 2 home runs. There you go. That's not as bold. Like that's bolder. Everything is bolder than Judge. But all right. Fanduel sponsor, Crunch Time, Cheap Mineralogist, Kevin Roth. The people want to know about what's going on in New York. The people want to know what's going on in Baltimore. Take it away, Roth.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys, as always. I think the intro was Roth is going to give us some clarity on the weather situation, and I got some bad news for you. I have no idea. I think Baltimore is going to play in light rain. It's hard for me to imagine a scenario where New York plays. The thing that is confusing about it is that I know New York wants to play. They said they're going to do everything in their power to play. Baltimore has not said that. So if we're just talking about the weather, Baltimore looks a hell of a lot better than New York. But New York really wants to play, and I don't know if Baltimore does. Cheese, is there a reason?
Yeah, so New York, their games still matter.
Yeah.
The Baltimore game has no bearing on anything. Like they don't need to play that game for any reason.
I legitimately, if this was mid-season, I would feel really good about saying New York is definitely not playing. It's a postponement, and the Baltimore game probably plays. But with this curveball of one team wanting and needing the game and the other team not giving a damn, I literally do not know.
Yeah, because like Baltimore's eliminated and Toronto has clinched, whereas the Mets are still like hanging on for the division. Like the Mets have to win every game and get help now.
Right.
And so they would rather not have to play 2 in a day if they have, and like they're in a good spot tonight as far as pitching matchup and everything. So yeah, they do want to play.
It's just going to be hard. I mean, usually 9 times out of 10, when I hear this team wants to play, I'm like, okay, well, that's exactly what they're going to do. It's hard. Even if they're as patient as can be, I don't know if they're going to be able to get a full game in, even if they really want to. So I just legitimately don't know. And that sucks. I don't like coming on here and saying that, but that's the truth. So that's not very helpful, but that's all I got, Cheese.
Yeah. But now, so to tell us this as well, both of those games, even if they play, this is bad hitting weather.
Oh,
correct?
Real bad. It's cold. Winds are blowing in. It's raining. It's very bad hitting weather.
So like personally, I wasn't playing Carrasco anyway. I think he's viable, but I wasn't getting there. And I did like the Mets bats, but not enough. Like I went ahead and took him out. I think I have one full stack left, but I don't think you have to be playing these guys given that it's bad hitting weather anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Chief, you got any plans here, or were you hoping that I could give you the clarity and then you come up with a plan?
I mean, I'm probably in the same boat as Dave. I did want to play some Mets bats, but it's not gonna mess me up by just Xing that whole game out of my script. I definitely wasn't playing Carrasco for what it's worth. Like, he was just gonna get X'd out of the player pool.
Yeah. All right. Well, if something comes to light in the next 30 minutes, I'll let you guys know. I think that's unlikely to be the case, but we'll see what happens. Mets game is going to be a long, late start. And then if they try to play, they're going to have to play in light rain after a long, late start. It's just it's weird. So I don't know. Okay. Sorry. I wish I had more, but let's talk about what we do have. And that is two of the sharpest minds in the biz giving us some fantastic DFS content here. Is this our last week, Cheese, of content? Or is there like a couple
3 days left, and that's it.
Holy smokes. That's it?
Today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and we are El Finito.
I didn't even realize it was that soon.
I'm pretty sure.
I thought we had this whole week. One thing that I got to do so that I don't get fired is read the promo from our wonderful sponsor. That's Fanduel. Devin didn't send it in email. He sent it in Slack. That's why. Okay. Hey, sign up for the Fanduel Sportsbook. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of their fantastic bonus offer. It's the no sweat first bet. It's the hottest thing going, up to 1K. Terms and conditions do apply. Make sure you're signing up for scores and odds as well. I put some picks in there today on the scores and odds platform, some unders with this weather. So make sure you're checking out scores and odds. It's your RotoGrinders pros that you know and love, helping you out with some sports betting content. But Cheese, right now, we need you for some DFS content. So talk to me about this slate in general.
So these next 3 days are going to be weird. Like the end of the seasons, it's super weird. We've been talking about pitch count a lot recently, but this is where it actually matters. Like teams that have clinched have a lot of reason not to let their pitchers go too deep. However, the pitchers on teams who have been eliminated, this is their final start. They really don't have any reason to limit them. I almost kind of prefer pitchers on teams that are out of it. Like, for example, Bailey Ober, who we'll talk about. Like, why not just let the guy pitch? We've seen the Angels doing that with Ohtani already. He's not pitching tonight, but same sort of thing. Like, what does it matter? It's more of an issue with teams that have clinched and guys specifically like George Kirby, like Joe Musgrove.
But Ober's got a whole offseason.
Just let him go. Now, the big difference in all of this, like one guy who is definitely chalk on this slate is Brandon Woodruff, because not only is he the best pitcher, he is in one of the few games that does matter. Same for Aaron Nola, who you're going to see. Mm-hmm. Houston is putting out a full lineup, although Dusty kind of backtracked and said he may not play these guys the whole game. So
why would he, to be honest?
Yeah. So like he came out a week ago and said, I'm playing my guys the last two series because they were playing against teams in contention, which is great. But now he's like already said, but that doesn't mean I'll play them all game. So
I'll play my guys a little bit is now it's gone to that. Yeah.
But let's assume that Nola faces this lineup for the whole game. I still like Nola, but it's definitely Woodruff is the SP1, and that's who you want. But I do, Nola has more ceiling than George Kirby for sure. But Kirby is cheaper and he's facing the Tigers. So even if Kirby only goes 5 innings, he's priced to be quite playable and useful on this slate. Officially, I think I would just play Bailey Ober or Patrick Sandoval if you need the salary instead of Kirby. Meaning on DK, I'm going Woodruff with either Sandoval or Ober on most lineups, a little bit of Kirby. And then if I have money for double aces, great. I'll go Woodruff Nola. On FanDuel, there's it's dicier to pivot to Nola, like you're doing it just to be different. But he can beat Woodruff, even if Woodruff pitches well. But Woodruff's more clearly the guy there. And Kirby is a bigger savings there, certainly compared to Sandoval. But Ober remains really cheap. on FanDuel at 73. The RG projections don't really like Ober. The bat projections like him a little better. I like him better than both of them. You know why, Kevin? Because he's facing the White Sox. So basically he's pitching to no one.
Right. But you're also going to stack the White Sox.
Yeah, no.
No? Okay.
I'm really not. Like,
you finally give it up. It's the last week of the season. You're finally throwing the towel.
Nonsense, Kevin.
I'm sorry, man. The White Sox, gosh, have they not broken our hearts this season? Like, if there was a heartbreak award, it would absolutely be the White Sox bat.
They don't even get because that's almost like sounds like a nice award, like just a team that sucks award that shouldn't suck. We'll call it that. We are technically better than the Tigers, but actually worse award goes to the White Sox. But anyway, so to clear this all up, I've actually ended up I'm only playing 4 pitchers today. It's Woodruff, Nola. I'm sorry, 5. Woodruff, Nola, Kirby, Sandoval, Ober. That's it for me. If you want to play Musgrove, Carrasco, maybe even Jose Barrios, now that game looks like it's going to play and it's pitching weather is fine. But I'm Woodruff, Nola, Kirby, Sandoval, Ober. And that's it.
Okay, very good. Chief, I want to get your take here on pitchers first. I do want to point out, according to Hershey in the YouTube chat, they are removing the tarp in Baltimore, which makes sense. Like looking at it, it is kind of dry, and then it's in 10 minutes, it's going to be light rain, but it's not heavy. In fact, it's very light. So I'm optimistic in Baltimore now that I see that they're taking the tarp off and that they're showing signs of life, that they want to play. I think it's playable. So I think in Baltimore, they're more likely to play. I still have no idea what the hell is going to happen in New York. And I can't promise you that they play 9 innings in Baltimore, even if they do start playing. Chief, let's get your take here on pitchers.
I mean, it's not going to be much different than Cheese. I mean, you definitely want to take guys that are playing for something, and Milwaukee still needs to win, and the Phillies still need to win. And as a result, Aaron Nola and Woodruff should be your top 2 targets. I actually didn't care that the Mets needed to win, and that's not because I'm a Braves fan. That's really more because of the fact that I don't think Carrasco is going to mow down Washington anyway. Like I just didn't see that coming. So I wasn't going to play Carrasco no matter what. I was on the fence with Bailey over, and then of course he mowed down the White Sox the last game, but then I had to just sit here and think like David's like, man, the White Sox have been just dreadful. So there's really no reason to not play him on this slate at 6,900. Cheese said he's got about 4 pitchers. Man, I love bills like that, Cheese, where you can just take that and just mix and match those guys together. Like that feels like the right approach to me. You probably, Cheese, how close are you to, let's say, 60% on Woodruff tonight? Just generally speaking.
That's probably exactly where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. That's about what I was thinking too. So, yeah. If you're there, then that's going to really give you probably tremendous upside, especially if Ober. We don't need him to get 12 strikeouts. If he gets 6 strikeouts and goes 6 innings and gives up a run or 2, like he's still. I mean, that's for that salary. That's beautiful. So, Ober is probably the cheap guy. I didn't think I was going to land there last night, but he's definitely probably the cheap guy. I trust him a little bit more than Sandoval. And then, of course, Kirby gets, one of the best matchups on the slate facing the Detroit Tigers. Like she said, even in 5 innings, that could be a very serviceable performance, especially if he doesn't give up any runs. So I think that's the pitching group. I don't really think it's too much outside of that. Cheese mentioned Sandoval, of course, at 7,700 facing Oakland. Got touched up a little bit last game. So what? Roll him out there. Like he should be fine.
Okay, excellent. You want to talk about some of these bats and some of the stacks here, Chief?
Absolutely. I think one of my favorite stacks on the day is one that last night I didn't really think I would end up there because I definitely liked the Mets more last night than I did tonight. And this is actually kind of against a pretty good pitcher, but I think I just want to roll the Braves out there. They've got to win. And Lazardo's going to get some strikeouts. It's not that, but he can also give up hard contact. He can also give up runs. And I just don't feel like people want to play the Braves, generally speaking. I want to go some other places.
That's because they're not on the slate, though, Will.
You know what? Dang it, you're right, man.
That makes it hard.
Reason we don't want to play.
Yeah.
640. Sorry.
Yeah.
Forgive me, people.
I had the same thought when I first pulled this up. I thought, they're going to come in under the radar because Lazardo's good. But
640 slate. My bad. And guess what? I'm looking at DraftKings, and I don't know why my brain is. I want to play the Braves. Anyway, doesn't matter. Scratch that. Sorry, folks. My second favorite stack is of course the Yankees against Martin Perez. They should, in a sense, get some ownership here down the stretch. I do like the Milwaukee Brewers as well, and I don't think they're going to get as much ownership as some of these other teams. And the reason why is they've been striking out a ton against lefties down the stretch, but I don't trust Tommy Henry to get through any game clean. I mean, if he's going to get strikeouts and he's also going to give up runs, Milwaukee's a team that needs to win. And I'm not playing this off of intuition. It's just the fact that Tommy Henry's going to get strikeouts, but he's also going to give up contact, a whole lot of it. And, so guys like Renfroe, Adames, even Andrew McCutchen, the 5-hole, those are guys I really like on this slate, in addition to the Braves who aren't playing on the slate. And that's kind of my main couple stacks. Like, the Padres should get some hits, but are they going to play the whole game? Who knows? But those are the teams I like the most.
Okay. Cheese, you want to go through some of your favorite stacks here?
So definitely with him on the Brewers. The Yankees are the one I'm kind of torn on. I end up not loving them as a stack as much as just play a couple guys here and there. Like, it's Martin Perez. Like if he faced the White Sox every game, he would have the Cy Young wrapped up by now. But even just facing a team like the Yankees, he's okay. So I don't love the full stack. I do love the Brewers. I love the Dodgers. And you can do that thing where you play the bottom of the order and they're cheap. At least with like Bellinger, Thompson, and Gallo and Lux are cheap on DK, and then Muncy is cheap on FanDuel, and Will Smith on FanDuel. I love that stack. The kind of random team that I'm stacking is the Phillies. When McCullers is good, he's good. And when he's not, Kevin, I don't know where you're sitting, but you might get hit with one of his pitches because he doesn't know where that thing's going. If he's a little off, like he's way off. So I do like the Philly stack.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add here? I kind of jumped in early.
No, that's that.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's do position by position, Cheese. You can lead us off. A little catcher talk, if you don't mind, sir.
I don't. I really do like Will Smith a crazy ton. He's a guy you can play on FanDuel even when you don't need a catcher. He's like way out ahead of the field. I want to love Rutschman, but it's hard to love bats in that game. I still have a couple Orioles stacks, but I don't really feel like Rutschman over Smith is a great play with that weather factored in. Mm-hmm. Kevin, did you see the big dumper clinch the playoffs for Seattle?
I was so happy. I was just so thrilled for the big dumper. Yes, it's awesome.
And he's a very legit play tonight at 43. If you need something cheap, I think Gary Sanchez is fine. Higashioka is fine. Caratini is fine. But really, give me Will Smith if possible.
Okay, very good. Chief, anything you want to add there, catcher?
Not really.
No, that's fair. I'm not going to force you to. Take me to first base then.
Yeah, first base, I mean, as long as this Baltimore game is going to go off without a hitch, like, give me Vlad against Mr. Kramer. I'm not worried about him in the slightest. My favorite first baseman of the night is the one guy I wanted to play, Cheese, that I couldn't, and that was Mr. Meneses. I was going to be really heavy Meneses tonight, and that may not materialize. So Not going to be on him as much. Of course, DJ LeMahieu at 4,300. You can get him at first or second. I really like this price, though, for him. If Freddie Freeman gets 3 at-bats here, that could be enough against Jose Urania. So at 5,600, I like him as well. I don't have to sell anybody on Ohtani. He should get his full complement of reps, I think. And at 6,400, most expensive first baseman, I think we're good. And then Mountcastle as well at 42 against Berrios. I think Berrios may just be wearing down a little bit. I mean, his upside just seems to be zapped here. And I just got to assume he's worn down a little bit over the course of the season, which is another reason I like some of these bats from Baltimore.
Okay. Somebody said hippity hop, hoppity.
As a cheap catcher, like once you get down past 3K, you can kind of play any of the guys. I would rather punt with Camposano for the Padres if you have like a couple of extra $100, but sure, any punt catcher is fine.
Okay, good. Your thoughts at first, rather.
One thing you might notice is early in the day I had Alonso as my conviction tag. I got rid of that, just like that weather. I don't feel like you have to play a one-off batter in that weather. I still do like Alonso. Like he can hit home run anywhere, anytime, for any reason. But as far as a spend up, I'm not prioritizing spending up at first. And on DK, I would rather play Ohtani than anyone if I have money sitting around. Josh Bell is another guy who's really cheap. Keston Hiura, any cheap Brewer is viable. I think Hiura is too cheap. Jose Miranda, fine-ish as a cheap guy as well. Ty France on Fanduel is a little underpriced. That's about that.
Second base, please, Cheese.
All right, pause. Let me cough.
Well, and while Cheese is doing that, let me just say that Hunter Green just struck out the side on the Chicago Cubs. I mean, wow.
It's fun to watch him pitch and just see if you can see the ball. Like it goes that Okay, so second base on FanDuel, it's Muncy. Or maybe even Gavin Lux. Like 2,800 for Muncy is great. I like Keston Hiura also on FanDuel as a punt, and Louis. I don't know if we're going Urias or Urias, but Louis for Milwaukee is cheap on FanDuel. On the DK side, Nick Gordon is the cheap guy. I like Cronenworth if you're spending up, but I don't see any reason to spend up. Like go out of your way to spend up for anything over 4K, really. Dylan Moore is fine-ish on DK as well, but really mostly Gordon and Lux on DK and one of the Brewers if you're not playing Muncy or Cronenworth on FanDuel.
Okay. Chief?
Man, I mean, second base, I think it's an interesting spot because, for instance, Altuve's in a bad spot, essentially. Even though he's a good hitter, like he's in a bad spot and he may not play the whole game. Semien is somewhat at a bad spot. You've got McMahon in somewhat of a bad spot. So all these top options to me just don't feel great. And so even though I talked about DJ at first, I like him at second as well. Paredes even against Rich Hill. There's the rumor swirling that this could be Rich Hill's game. They're going to let him go. Well, hopefully they do let him go, and the Rays can just keep scoring runs. I love it. I've got Paredes there. Urias in the 6 hole against Henry. Like that's another good spot for me. So I'm kind of avoiding the top half of the second base pool, and I'm really kind of starting with DJ LeMahieu down. I do like Gifo. My assumption is Rengifo will play. So, I mean, I don't mind him a little bit against Martinez. I don't hate Cronenworth either, but I'm mainly going to be DJ LeMahieu down.
We did just get that Angels lineup, and Rengifo is not in there.
Oh, well, there you go. So no need to even worry about it. I'm pretty much DJ LeMahieu all the way down.
Okay. Cheese, I got lost. Did I get your second base thoughts here?
You did, and you loved them.
Okay, they were so good.
Yeah,
then
pretty exciting.
Yeah. Okay, Chief, take me to third.
Oh, we'll have way there. All right, Chief. So yeah, we're on third, right? And that is for me. Correct?
It is. Living on a prayer, my man.
Great. Cheese talked about this with FanDuel, but I mean, Muncie at 4,900 against Uranium, man. Like, load him up. I like him a lot. Devers is still okay to me. Like, I don't think Glasnow. I think he goes 5 innings. Like that's kind of what I have in my head. 5 innings for Glasnow, wherever the pitch count falls. I think I caught the tail end of that where we were thinking around 80 past 90, something to that effect, or around 70, 75 to 80-ish.
Yeah, I would guess they don't want him to go more than 80, but either way, like it's not like he's not going to face him all game regardless.
No. So I like Devers a ton. Chapman at 4,400. I like him a lot today. Ty France as well, as long as these guys are going to play. And you can get Urias there. You can get Paredes there. As bad as these guys have been, Cheese, as bad as they've been, I still don't hate throwing in.
He's going to say Yoan Moncada.
Yeah, Yoan Moncada at 3,800. I still don't hate it. Now, I mean, the cheap guy, which is probably everybody's cheap guy, no secret, is Brasso. Like, he's 2,300. He's facing Henry. Milwaukee needs to win. He should be able to get on base, and he's got some run protection behind him with Renfroe. Like, he's pretty much the cheap guy to play, in my opinion.
Okay. Cheese?
Yeah, so it's Brasso on DK. Now, on FanDuel, they have Anthony Rendon at minimum salary. Who knows if Rendon is healthy? Like, I think it's nice and weird that they're letting him play this season at all. But as long as he's in there batting fifth, like for 2K, I think you may as well play him on FanDuel as the punt. But I think Brasso is the punt on DK. Yeah, are we going to get, and we are, I'm asking like I don't know, like a 1% Toronto Blue Jays stack against Dean Kramer? I mean, that weather and all that, but as much as I don't like the Blue Jays today, a 1% owned Blue Jays stack against Dean Kramer, I mean, you should probably do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, play some Matt Chapman. But otherwise, I don't have much to add to what Will said.
Okay. How about a little shortstop for me, Cheese?
All right. Trey Turner is the best guy, but not like something you have to have. I think Willy Adames is probably the favorite one-off of me and everybody. I don't mind Carlos Correa being thrown in there. This is a lot of kind of what Will was talking about a second with guys like Altuve and Semien. I think maybe you play a good hitter against a good pitcher. For example, Corey Seager, Bo Bichette, even Javi Baez. George Kirby is actually he can strike out Baez, but the guy who just is 100% of the time always throwing strikes is good for Baez because Baez is 100% all of the time swinging at everything, regardless of anything. So at least the ball is going to be in the strike zone. So I don't mind Baez. Yeah, there you go. I don't have any other names for you.
Okay, that's fine. Chief, what are you doing at short?
Well, my son just opened the door and has on a funny outfit. He's trying to make me laugh while we're live. Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh, it's so funny, though. Oh, gosh.
You got to switch the camera around on him next
time.
No,
we can't switch the camera around. I can't do it. I can't. I do like Adames. I like Wander Franco a ton today against Rich Hill. I am with Cheese, which I didn't want to play Seager. I mean Semien, but I don't mind Seager at all. Brandon Crawford's 3,700. He's semi cheap. Like if you really need salary relief, I don't hate it. And then this is just a cheap leadoff play. Like Nick Allen's against Sandoval tonight. He's 2,100. Like if you happen to play both pitchers, for instance, if we go double stud at pitcher and we take Nola and Woodruff, like I think Nick Allen is a good just throw him in the pot, and that way you can still get quality bats everywhere else. And if he happens to read Cheese's article, which is hitting is good too. I think Cheese wrote that back in 2016, maybe 17. Yeah. If he reads that article and gets on base a couple times, then you could be sitting pretty there.
Okay, very good. Take me to the outfield.
Yeah, outfield, everything's going to pretty much be, built around my stacks. The Milwaukee guys, the Dodgers guys like Gavin Lux, like him a ton on FanDuel. Like he's 20, isn't he? I think he's 26, 2,700 on FanDuel, somewhere up in there.
That whole bag of the Dodgers is so cheap.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I forget Lux's number.
He's 2,700 on FanDuel. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And then Belly 27, Trace 24, Gallo 22.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
that outfield just on FanDuel. Oh man, it's insane. But that's a team that I love on FanDuel for sure. I don't hate the Angels here against Rodriguez. I know that the total's low and it's a bad ballpark, but they've still got a couple bats there. But mainly the Brewers. Mainly the Dodgers. Like, those are my top two pieces. I talked about the Yankees against Perez. Don't hate them as well. Don't mind Tampa Bay against Rich Hill. But, those are the main guys.
Okay, very good. Cheese, what are you doing in the outfield?
The two guys I want to be sure not to sleep on are Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, who you are going to see hit home runs today, Kevin, at no ownership.
Okay.
Trout and Ohtani should not be sneaky, but still, I think they're almost sneaky-ish as well, because I think people are going to play Soto, Judge, and Betts as a spend-up, which is also fine. And Stanton on FanDuel is super cheap. I like Renfroe a lot. I like the cheap Dodgers a lot. And then I prefer those Phillies and Angels to spend up, to be not different, but with the Angels, but different with the Phillies.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
Okay, guys, we've got 6 minutes for some QQs, and I am going to scroll on up here. If you're watching this on the YouTube, by the way, hit the like button. This is free content from some of the sharpest minds in the biz. So no reason not to give it a like. Let's see what we got here. Naked HD says, hey, Cheese, Smith or Freeman on FanDuel?
I mean, that's a huge salary difference. If you're telling me you would just be sitting on the money, I guess I would play Freeman. But with salary considered, I like Smith better.
Okay, very good. T9DX says Brousseau and J-Rod, Chief, or Suarez and Kutch.
Ooh, I think I want Brousseau and J-Rod. I think that's what I would like to do there.
Okay, very nice. Let's hop on the old. Oh, we got some Discord questions coming in here. Very nice. Okay, Aside says FanDuel Cash Cheese, Brousseau, McCutchen, and Nick Gordon, or Rendon, Stanton, and Brujan.
I would Brousseau, McCutchen, Gordon.
Okay, very good. FanDuel one-off here. Chief, you want Stanton or Renfroe hitting the bomb?
Renfroe. But that's
very good. Okay. Jay says, did Texas open their roof for a Judge?
I do not know Texas's roof status.
I saw it and I forget. But gosh, what's the guy's name that tweets it all the time? Shoot. I don't know. I knew it and I forgot. I'm sorry. DK Cash, Freeman or LeMahieu? Cheese?
Freeman.
DK Cash from Achilles here. Chief, I'm coming to you. Ober, McCutchen, or Sandoval, Gallo?
Ober, McCutchen.
I think Texas's roof was open, and that's why I thought Houston was going to open theirs, and I was very excited. And then Houston screwed me, and they're keeping it closed, even though it's the nicest night. Yeah, Texas's roof is open.
As per John Blake.
As per John, that's the guy who I was trying to remember, Ranger Blake. Yeah, Yeah, but is Houston's roof open? No. Even though, is it one of the nicest day, one of the 3 nice days we'll get all year? Yes. Closing it anyways. Fun stuff, guys. All right, I got lost. NBA DFS, Cheese, FanDuel Cash, Ohtani and Gordon, or Soto and Stanton.
Soto, Stanton.
FanDuel GPP, Chief, is Jeff McNeil too low of an upside to play him as a one-off?
Jeff McNeil?
That is correct. I think I called him
Yeah,
McNeil.
I don't think I want to play Jeff McNeil today at all.
Yeah, I would say that game, with that Mets game, I don't think I would want to one-off that game regardless, unless you love the play because of the PPD risk that Kevin's talking about.
Okay, great. FanDuel Cash, 2v2, Cheese, Brousseau and Mookie, or Miranda Ohtani?
Brousseau and Mookie.
Okay. Scroll down a little bit here. FanDuel GPP, last in, you like Trout, Betts, or J-Rod, Chief? Trout, Betts, or J-Rod?
Oh, man. Give me... Sorry, give me a second.
You're all right.
Give me Betts.
Okay, very good. Cheese, what are you expecting from Glasnow as a pitch count?
My best guess would be 65 to 70. There's definitely there's no ceiling past 80.
Gotcha. All right. Achilles. Okay, Cheese, I'm coming right back to you here. This is a 3v3 DK Cash. Sandoval, Betts, Kelenic, or Ober, Gallo, Soto?
Obergallo, Soto.
Very good. DK single entry. What's the stack? Chief, what's your stack? DK single entry.
Milwaukee.
Cheese, what's your stack?
Dodgers.
Where are we here? Where do we go? DK Cash, Kelenic, or Tyrone Taylor? Chief? Did you answer? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you said Cheese or Chief?
Chief. Kelenic or Tyrone Taylor?
I think I'm going Taylor.
Okay, very good. Pharaoh, FanDuel Cash, Cheese, third baseman, Puntnett, Rendon, or Bruhaha? That's Brujan or Bruhan.
Rendon.
Okay, very good. We've got about a minute until lock here. Let's see. Last man in, FanDuel single entry, Cheese, Vogelbach or Stanton?
Stanton.
T9 says, Chief, Brousseau and J-Rod, or Suarez and Kutch?
I think we already answered that, and it was Brousseau and J-Rod.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was in a different chat here. All right. Note that Bill Miller got switched. He's not the ump in Baltimore anymore. Geez, that doesn't change anything for you, does it?
No, I'm basically not doing anything in that game outside of an occasional full stack.
Okay. DePrince, FanDuel GPP, Trout or Ohtani? Chief?
Ohtani.
Okay.
Nope.
Chief, Trout or Ohtani?
We're trusting the man. He said Ohtani. Ohtani reigns supreme.
Okay.
But
very
also
good.
both.
Of course.
All right, let's see if we can squeeze in one more QQ. How about a home run pick? Geez, you had a couple of them there in my game.
Schwarber Harper.
Schwarber Harper. You sticking with that?
Yeah, and that's the off the board one. Yeah,
very good.
Which shouldn't be off the board.
Chief, you got home run picks?
Renfroe McCutcheon.
Very good. Okay, guys, I am going to call this not an early end as we have hit the lock, but just an end so that I can go to a baseball game. I'm going to go watch, apparently, my team get dominated because they're not playing their starters and they're going against a good pitcher. So we shall see. It should be good times. So for Cheese and for Chief and for our wonderful production team, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been great.